This is former WCW superstar Marcus Buff Bagwell, and you're listening to the Macho Mecca Podcast. So listen good and listen hard.
What's going on, my purveyors of the torch of masculinity? Today we have a very special guest in the Macho Mecca. We got Buff Daddy himself, my friend, my ex-tag team partner. He's here. Buff Daddy, say what's up.
Best tag team in the internet, baby.
I was going to flash one up on the screen real quick before we get started for those who do not remember. This was back in Owensboro, Kentucky.
There it is.
Back in, what was it, 2019, I think? That's the dream team right there, man.
There it is, baby. There it is. Best looking tag team in the internet world, baby.
Buff on the stuff, and as you can see, I bring the stuff with me. We're good looking. We can't help it. Don't hate us for it. Don't be haters. Don't be haters, because I'm Buff, I'm the stuff, and the girls just can't get enough of any of this.
We came up short that night against Rob Conway, but today we're going to deliver what needs to be delivered. Right?
Conway got lucky.
He did. There's no doubt about it.
Actually, Conway's a great guy. I like Rob a lot.
He is.
And just like I said, I just had a remembrance of I was in the shower trying to get down here and hurry, and them cuts to me going, "Bagwell, you're next, hurry!" And we got live TV coming, so live, I love live, man, because live is just, it's live, bro.
It's live.
It is.
It's the only way to do it.
It happens.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to get into these questions, man. The fans have been excited to get you on it. So we'll go ahead and get into it. Buff's the man, was awesome working with you the time I did. My own wrestling days, like I was just telling Vinny before the calls we were getting set up, man, you guys take an ass kicking. And I mean, I love being in the gym. It's part of what I do. But to be in the gym, be on the road, take the bumps, to look like you did and still do, I mean, it's unbelievable. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't. So most people can't. So hats off to you, man, and thanks for being so cool to me as a young worker at the time. I really appreciate that.
All the rumors you get out there on me, it's hard to deal with, hard to work with. And if you remember the night we worked together, I mean, I make sure everybody's comfortable. Is this okay with you? I don't tell nobody what to do. I mean, I lay it out, but I leave it wide open for anybody to say, hey, look, if you don't want to do this, let's do that, Hey, man, and I'm so easy, so laid back, so easy to work with, and you were too, but, I could have easily walked in there and said, look, we're doing this, and that's how top guys do it. But that's not what you saw from Buff Bagwell. What you saw was a guy that came in and was super nice to everybody, shook everybody's hand. They always have a separate dressing room for me or something, and I'm like, no. I'm dressing right here with the boys. I said, that's all I need is to be put in a dressing room somewhere because I'm better than they are. Nobody's better than nobody here. We're all workers, and we try to make it. I got lucky. It's how I look at it. I mean, people go, oh, no, man, it's your hard work. And it was my hard work. But still, man, there's a lot of luck involved, brother. And there's a lot of luck there, too. I mean, you're talking about how many millions of guys, tried to be a wrestler and didn't. And like I said, my second day, I wasn't going back. Because I did the math. I looked at it after the first day, and I said, wait a minute. These guys do this 200, 300 times a year? That's not possible. So the worst thing you can say to a wrestler that looked like me, Luger, and Steiner, the worst thing you can say to a guy that looks good in the wrestling world is, well, I can't get in the gym because I travel for a living. And we're like, okay. Well, listen what we do for a living and check it out. I built Buff Bagwell on the road. I mean, think about that. Different gyms, not knowing where you're at. Pro bodybuilders don't go from gym to gym, city to city. They got their certain place. They do a body part, and then they go take a nap, and they come back and they got their meal ready for them. We had to go to a place and buy 3 meals because this is back before you did shakes. Nobody did shakes back then. That was a big no-no. And it's still kind of frowned upon. But we had to go to shakes, or you wasn't going to get in that
the calories.
250, 260 grams of protein we had to have.
Yeah.
That's where guys miss up. I mean, it's a gram per day. Now, there's different venues and different beliefs on it, but we just stuck to the basics of a gram per day, and that was hard enough as it was. And so that's, I'm a 230-pound guy now. I was 240, 250 then. So that's 250 grams of protein. Not Monday and Wednesday, Friday. Not Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. Every single day for the last 32 years of my life has been aimed toward protein intake to look like Buff Bagwell. And that's hard to do, bro. Financially, I mean, let's just call it like it is. Financially, go eat Longhorn. It ain't cheap. You know, but if you're going to have the right meal and look the right way, you got to eat there. I mean, how many $50 Marriott egg white breakfasts have you had? I've had a bunch that I didn't want to pay, but if we didn't eat that, we weren't going to eat. So it was paid $50 for breakfast, and we could have gone to Waffle House for 10.
Yeah.
But it was just the lifestyle, man. I mean, it was just the way it was meant to be. And like I've said a million times, bro, it's just the truth. It's just tough to be buff.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually, it's funny that we just got into that because that was a big part of my questioning was we are, on this podcast, we talk about bodybuilding. That's a big part of what I do. It's a big part of what our fans do. And so obviously Buff Bagwell is without a doubt, not arguably, one of the top body guys ever in wrestling when you think about it, especially in recent memory. So You're talking about being on the road, taking the bumps. Are you, a member at 3 different gyms? Are you buying guest passes? I mean, because I travel probably 250 days a year for work as well. And so I'm always at a different gym. I'm always, at McDonald's at 12 o'clock at night eating 6 plain hamburger patties. That's I get that part of it, right? But what was your strategy?
You can eat fast food places. You got to take the bread off, bro. I can't tell you, when I was shredded, I was eating Wendy's. But I took the bread off. Bread, whoever's listening and wants to be a pro bodybuilder, bread is a killer. It is a murderer. It is ruthless. The first time I learned about bread was I told my body wasn't coming like I needed it to. And I told the guy that was training me, Mark Wallace, I said, it's not coming, man. It's not coming. He goes, let's go over your diet one more time. And so the last meal of the day I was eating was an egg white sandwich before I went to bed. And he goes, whoa, back up. He goes, you're eating a what? I said, egg white sandwich, bro. He reaches in my cabinet and grabs 2 pieces of bread and he wads them up. And he goes, your body's trying to digest that while you're sleeping. He said, it's going to stick somewhere you don't want it to. And the older you get, it's going to stick worse and worse. And after I cut bread out of my diet, it was just like instantaneous abs, lean, veins. Bread is the all-time killer that people think. No. If you know how many times I've heard my mom, God bless her, say, this is the whole wheat special. No. It's bread. It's fucking bread. And it is a murderer for anybody that wants abs and anybody that even wants to be in the realm of looking like a Scott Steiner, Lex Luger, or Buff Bagwell did. You can take bread and get the whole loaf and throw it right out the window because it's over. Not what every once in a while, I'll get 1 piece and I put about that much peanut butter on it and I fold it and I eat 1 piece of bread with about 30 grams of protein and peanut butter. And that's almost considered a cheat meal, you know, because it's bread, man. It's just a killer. So, yeah, but it's tough. It's tough, man. That diet's tough to keep on the road. But to answer your question, man, I was just so good at remembering where the gym. Keep in mind, brother, when I was doing this, man, there wasn't no GPSs. Hey, there wasn't no
Google LA Fitness,
bro. No. There wasn't no look it up on the GPS right quick and let's go to goal. It was, you better remember where you went last time you were in this city or you ain't going to make it. Right. And, you know, Dale Wilkes, God rest his soul, he just passed away a couple days ago. He was huge. He always would put me over on that because whoever got in my car knew that they were going to be eating, they were going to be at the gym, they were going to be tanning, because I remember where all of it was, and this is before GPS. I literally don't know how he did it. I mean, I don't. I can tell you this, even to find the building, forget gyms and things, even to find the building, it took 3 stops. And we took all 3 stops and kind of combined them to find where we were wrestling at.
Sure.
And because it just, and our poster would be on the door. And the person didn't even know. The person was like, I don't know about no wrestling in town. I go, well, you got our poster on your door. But this is just back when we were just everybody knew WCW and we were trying to get it going. And then finally, the NWO thing happened and off we went. And, we killed them for a while,
Yeah. Well, and that's great feedback on the diet. So then as far as the training aspect goes, what was your split like? Obviously you grew a tremendous physique, and as anyone who's a decently serious weightlifter knows, when you're on the road, you're not training at a Marriott gym because the weights aren't big enough. So what's your split look like? Are you training, chest one day?
Let's go with splits.
Yeah.
I believe in only 3 workouts, period. There's only 3. And then I'll tell you mine out of the 3. There's chest try, back by, legs day 3, shoulders, and then you do another arm day because my chest and back were so big. My arms wasn't weak, but they were weak on my body because my chest and my back were so big that my arms were kind of weak. So I would do chest and a little try, back and a little by, and then I'd have a whole nother arm day on day 5. But 5 days in the gym every single week, let me tell you, as a professional, in 32 years of doing it, that's a big number, bro.
Yeah.
So you can just cut one of those off and go chest try, back by, legs, shoulders.
Gotcha.
And then there's no other arm day. You just don't do that. And the only key to why there's only 3 workouts, and the third one's mine, and that is you try to separate. I see guys doing chest and shoulders together. Anybody out there listening that's doing chest and shoulders on the same day or even 2 days apart, you are completely blowing it. They're too close of a body part, and you're going to be over. It's very rare you see a guy that don't separate their shoulders and their chest, and one of them's not weak. Their shoulders are going to be weak, or their chest is going to be weak, unless you know to separate them. And that's why you position it to where there's always a big break between shoulders, and then again, you start up again on chest again. But the best workout I had was the first one I had, which was chest try, back by, my workout, third workout, is chest, back, legs, shoulders, arms, but it's 5 days. So as of late, and with my age, and just trying to stay in shape the way I do the chest try, back by, legs, shoulders, and try to get another arm in if I can. But
Okay.
if you can't, I at least got some try and some buy-in. And believe it or not, probably was a better workout than most guys do arms anyway. But to do a chest workout with me, you'd go, oh my God, I just thought I did chest, because you didn't. You just thought you did. And it ain't 20 reps, it ain't 20 sets. It's just how you do it. We did what was called, and I don't tell anybody this workout because I'm scared they'll hurt themselves. But you do what's called reverse pyramid. Let's take a back machine, because it's easiest to simulate and to understand on camera. You get in the back machine, you don't go do back. You do it, your last workout, you did exactly what I'm getting ready to say. You got in the back machine, no matter what you started on, and you put the peg here. And you did a set. You did it what you call warm up, which I'll go to warm up in a minute. You do that set. Then you go down a little bit, right? Then you do another set. Then you go, okay, I'm warmed up now. Let's work out. And you lower it. Well, guess what? You just did work out. You just did. You just did work out, bro. So the idea is, chest day, for example, we would do 135 3 times. But I mean, stretch.
Yep.
135 for 15. Stretch. 135 for 15. Stretch. You let 135 sit on your chest, just, maybe a third one if you made it. And my first set was 315 for 8. Then, if you get 8 easy, that is your 10 set. And if you get it 10 times, then that's your 12 set. So you got to learn your body. It takes a while. Like for back, you would get in there from now on. After listening to this podcast, if you know what you're doing, you'll put the peg up here for back, and you'll do 3 sets with it up there. And you'll stretch, and do another set. Stretch. And then guess what? Then you go, whoa,
bang,
way down here, and you're going to be blown away how much stronger you are. And it's simple analogy. And Lex Luger taught it to me. And it's, you're lifting the heaviest weight at your freshest time. It makes total sense. And guys just don't realize it. They do the 135, 185, 225. Okay, let's work out. Bro, you just did. You just did work out. And that's what they don't understand. I mean, we literally did 10 to 12 sets of a body part. That's all we did, right? But how we did it was a whole nother galaxy, bro. How we did it. By doing that reverse pyramid and stretching properly and not hurting yourself and, all that stuff, So that's why I don't tell people to work out, because they're not going to stretch. They're not going to warm up properly. These kids will hop in there and snap, pop, there goes the peg.
Yep, that's exactly what happened to me, actually. Both my pecs. I'm 27, and it took me until I was about 25. And then, when I'm pressing 150-pound dumbbells, bang.
2-3 reps.
Yep, exactly. Yep, boom. And it was because I wasn't activating that stretch in the warm-up. Yep.
Anything under 8 reps, if it's 8, less than 8, lower the weight.
Yep.
More than 8, and that's just great. That's the same, bro. If you can't get 8 times, you don't need to be doing it. We did for a little bit in the heyday with some 6s. But brother, you never saw us going with 6. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
So let me ask you this.
Are crippled.
Yeah, that's true. So let me ask you this. I want to get into, obviously, the time that you and Steiner were together. You've done a lot of shoot interviews in the past that have talked about the competition in the dressing room and all that stuff, but I really want to talk about, if you're on the road and you're in the gym with Scott Steiner, you're in the gym with Lex Luger, Buff Bagwell, What kind of numbers are these guys putting up on your core lifts? Who was the strongest? And, you know, from a numbers perspective, what was the crazy stuff that you saw? I know you're talking about 8 reps, but I mean, 315 for 8 reps that's world-class strength.
Yes.
So what type of stuff were you seeing in there working out with those monsters?
Weight incline, bro. Free weight incline, 315 for 8. That's a big boy story right there.
That's big. That's no joke.
Yeah,
that's no joke. Serious stuff. Yeah. So who was the strongest? And maybe someone I didn't mention that, you know, I'm not thinking of, but
what
numbers are you seeing?
Luger was a freak, man. I one day did 350. My hips were hurting, and legs come walking in. And this is when they were all over him up there in WWF, and I hadn't met Lex yet. And me and Sting were big buddies here, and we were going to work out with Lex at his gym, and him and Sting both owned it. And they walked in, and when Lex walked in, I mean, I cannot believe how thin he was. I was blown away. I was like, oh my God, I thought he was going to be this mammoth of a guy, and he wasn't. And I swear to God on my life, he was 405 on squats for 20. He did the stack on extensions for 20. The stack. I did 315 for like 8, and my hip was hurting, and I'm over there crying in the corner. Here's the skinny guy, I thought, that's just, and I looked at Sting and I go, why didn't you tell me he was a freak like this? He goes, dude, he said he can laugh like Herman Monster of the Monsters real good. So he'd always go, oh, like the monster guy. And he did. He had freakish strength, man. He could Sting always called him like a nuclear reactor. He could take anything from Diet Mountain Dew to Diet Coke to whatever and put it in his body as a machine and use it, and it would work. Because he was just a nuclear reactor, man. He just made it, no matter what he put in that body, he was the total package, bro. He was
yeah.
It. I can't tell you the mornings. He's getting my bed and I've gone, Lex, please. Let's just take the day off, please, bro. And no way. I probably said, what is your inspiration? What is your drive? Tell me what tell me, bro. He says, you know what it is? I said, what? He goes, I don't want to do it again. I don't want to have to redo it. He said, I've got it. I look great. I don't want to lose it. I don't want to have to do it again. And it made sense to me, so I got up and got dressed and went to the gym with him.
Yeah.
Every single time the wheels would come out on the airplane, I started seeing him start moving around up there in first class, and I'd be like, God dang. Because
here we go.
If you drove home after a road trip, you were not coming back out to the gym. None of us were that strong. None of us were that mentally and physically strong to be able to put that what we just went through for a week aside, drive home, and do what everybody else did, which was drive home, relax, chill out, and then, hey, I'll hit it hard tomorrow, you know. I'll hit it hard tomorrow. It was directly up, came straight back. If I was asleep, it was slap me in the shoulder to get me up, whatever. Rip fuels, coffee, and land, and walk straight to the gym. And it got to be such a joke that we were such freaks at doing this that all the guys that didn't even, and I'd walk in and go, hey man, so what are you doing now? And the guy would go, I'm wrestling. I go, for who? And they'd go, for WCW. And I'm like, I've never seen you there. So it got to be such a joke that when me and Luger walked in, all of those kind of guys would give us a round of applause for their checks, because we're the ones that were out keeping the ship afloat. And it was a ha-ha kind of thing, but not really. It was Disco Infernos who came up with it. But Disco worked just about as much as we did. He was on the road a lot, but he was also off a lot. But not Luger, not Bagwell. Every show, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, I tore my growing muscle, brother, and they sent me to UCLA, and I had 8 physical therapists on me, and I cried the entire time. And it was hot tub, stretch, a torn growing muscle. My foot was black. Stretch it, and then the ice tub bath. Right back out of the ice tub bath, right back into the scalding hot, the stretch again, and right back in the water. And in 3 days, I could do a 40-yard dash. But I had to have to be back on TV. I needed to be back on TV. For me, I needed to be. The company needed, guys were getting hurt because of live TV. And it was tough, man. It was just tough. It's a hard business, man. It's a hard business.
That's a great Luger story with the 20 reps of the 405. That's one.
Dude, I never saw the
believe unless you saw it.
I swear to God, it was the most impressive thing I've ever witnessed in any gym in my entire life.
Yeah. Did you train with Scotty a lot, or did you have any good Steiner gym stories?
I got a good Rick Steiner one, and it was when I was a fresh rookie. I mean, out of the gate fresh. Here goes Rick Steiner with 180s. He's got 180 dumbbells. And he rocks back with that. And I'm watching him going, because brother, in the chest game, I can hang with this man. That's the only thing I can kind of hang with Luger on, his chest. Everything else, he can smoke me, blow me out of the water. He did straight bar curls with 135 with Wilkes, brother. The big wheel, 135, and did it like it was nothing. And I'm doing like 95 pounds, the 25. And that was a lot, doing it before,
Of course.
And he's over there doing 135, no swinging, no jerking. Just freak stuff. Well, but I still know that 180, I'm actually watching out of interest, and I'm going, this is going to be good. I got to watch this. He rocks back and goes up, and he's not going to get one. And I go down to spot him, and he goes, "Don't touch me." And I backed off like that, and he struggled through getting one of those up and dropped it. And I just went, God, man, this is not the way to do it, man. And God bless him. Dig some Rick Steiner pictures up, brother. He
looked a big boy.
He looked phenomenal in his career. But he trained so heavy that he tore so many body parts that, he didn't have the, Scotty kind of caught on a little quicker and liked the weight. I still remember Scotty doing 80s with laterals. 80-pound dumbbells doing laterals with 80s. And I'm over there using 30s and 40s. Which 30s and 40s is a big weight.
Yeah.
But he's swinging 80s up, bro, with form. And I'm just like,
that's ridiculous.
Man. Wow. So, there was a lot of freakish things I saw, but none of them, I knew they were wrong. I just knew they were. And not that I'm right, but I just knew that there's doing one rep ain't the way to do it. And if I see a guy in the gym today and I see him do one rep, I go straight up to him, directly up to him. I can't take it. And I don't talk to guys in the gym because I don't get nowhere. But I walk straight up to him and I go, "Why'd you do that?" And the guy's like, "What?" I go, I said, "My name's Mark. Nice to meet you." I said, "I'm just curious, why'd you just do that?" And I did the same answer every time. I don't know. I said, well, let me tell you what you do. I do know. I said, you almost impressed 4 people, your 3 buddies and me, by getting 315 on flat bench one time. I said, you got a good body, a good physique, so no recording of it, no proof of it. And just like that, you could have tore your pec and been out 6 months. So, no proof of it, you got it for 1, and you had 4 people you almost missed. An hour later, the guy's walking around with a pen and pad, asking me questions. And I said, bro, you want to work out with me? It's $100 an hour, and I'll train you. I said, but I don't do it for free. I said, this info didn't come out. There wasn't no computers back then either. So this stuff came from going up to the biggest guy in the gym and going, what'd you do that for? Why'd you do that way? Tell me what you did. And then you, just like wrestling, you take a little bit of what this guy said, a little bit of what that guy said, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you take and you build yours. And that's the best way to come up with it. And Luger was the best of all to me as far as training method, not getting hurt, being as big as you could without getting hurt, training smart. I mean, can you imagine first hearing what I just told y'all about that, warm up, and then go way down here with the back? There's nobody going to do that. Nobody's going to listen to that. But let me tell you, I'm right. If you do it, watch these big. I said, get some pictures up of me and look at my back. Nobody's back looks like mine. Nobody. That's the only body part that nobody can touch me on. No, in the ring, if there was a battle royal, you could pick me out and come out because of my back. It was freakish, man. And that literally, don't get me wrong, that's genetics. Like, I'm never going to have Scotty's arms.
Nobody does, right?
Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but we try to get as close as we can.
Yeah.
But you got to just take a little bit of all of it and try to listen. But my way, I'm telling you, is the best way, and that is training your heaviest body, your heaviest weight at your freshest time. But you got to be warmed up and stretched, or you'll be sitting over there with your arm brace on and a torn pec, and you tore both your pecs, and I've never tore mine, ever. And I'm not even knock on wood, because I know I'm not going to tear my pec. Because I stretch after every body part I do. After every set, I stretch. If it's biceps, I find a flat bench, and I lean over and stretch my biceps out. If it's triceps, I go underneath the bar somewhere and stretch my triceps. If it's chest, that's my number one thing on chest when I'm not tearing your pec.
Hanging.
Brother, when you hang 250 pounds and hold on, you ain't going to tear your pec because you are stretching. And you do that and do 135, and you hang again and do 135, and then you throw up 315 for 8 or 10. That's how you do it, brother. But you got to do it smart. And it's hard to do that.
I love it.
That's not a believable workout to people when they hear it. When Lex first told me, I said, you're crazy, bro. You lost your mind.
I mean, if anybody who's listening right now doesn't believe what Buff or Lex Luger tells them in the gym, you probably need to go get your brain checked out. Because
every once in a while I'll say, I go, now you say it, I go, hell, what do I know? My name's just Buff.
Exactly.
But, what do I know?
What do I know? Yeah, exactly, man.
What have I learned?
Well, and this is a fascinating conversation. I love it. And the next question I want to preface, because it's a little bit of a touchy subject, but in our community, we know, kind of there's there's another a dark side, I guess, and when the performance enhancing drugs conversation comes up, one of the things I always start with is there's no real benefit to an athlete, in my opinion, coming out and admitting to it, because if you admit to it, there, you know, all that comes in is negativity from people that haven't trained. And one of my favorite quotes was actually from Buff in the ESPN documentary they did, when he said, when he was asked, once you've trained for 15 years every single day, then you can come back and ask me about performance enhancing drugs.
Until you're in the gym 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, watching your carbs, watching your protein year round for 15 years. After you do that, if you want to say I'm on steroids, then you can. But until you try that, don't say it.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the people who watch this podcast know there are ways that you can train. There's ways that you can diet to, you know, get yourself to a very good physique naturally. The genetic freaks can go a little bit beyond that. But when you get to the Lex Luger level, or a Scott Steiner, or even potentially a Buff Bagwell, of course, and Lex has come out before and admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs.
Sure.
I want to ask you, Buff, you know, if you're not comfortable answering it, that's fine. Whatever you want to say, I will trust what you say. But most people would look at it, and if I'm going to be honest, myself included, and say 250 pounds shredded, even with the greatest genetics in the world,
hey,
there must have been something. A little bit of help. Right. And to me,
you add up everything you just added up, and the answer to it is, how old are you?
27.
How old are you? How old?
27.
27.
Yep.
When you were 20, how many low testosterone commercials did you see? How many times did you hear the word low T?
Yeah.
How many times do you hear it now?
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
My father even takes it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look up on your phone testosterone, brother.
Yeah.
Right now, every single male that's listening to this should know what his testosterone level is. And it's hard to do because it changes. Testosterone has a 10-day lifespan in your system. So, if you took a shot today and you go test, your test level is going to test higher. So, if you actually want to know your test levels, you take the shot, you wait 3 days, and you go get it done. Then you get the test done, and that is your true testosterone level. The count is, believe it or not, is, for some reason, it's 2 and some change. I don't know why. But it's 2 and some change to 1,100 even. And I don't know why that's the count. But that's where the human, if you're at 1120, you're on something.
Yeah.
You're on something. But the catch is you want to try to stay in that area of that, because you got to realize we work for Ted Turner. We were getting drug tested every week, bro.
Right.
Every week. We were a G-rated company, and we're going to Eric going, bro, I mean, you got to be kidding. I mean, there's no way to do this. I mean, this is just crazy. So back when even, like I said, testosterone was considered a drug, that was considered steroids. Testosterone is not a steroid anymore. Now it's, people see that it's necessary, that it needs to be done, that it helps your heart, it helps your liver, it helps your sleep, it helps your brain. I mean, it does read. I mean, dude, if you read up on it, it would blow your mind to the point. Every time I got a chance, I'll tell a guy, I'll go, bro, you should know what your test. I said, and I know before I ask you that you ain't got no idea. I said, but you should know what your testosterone level is within 100 or 200 points at all times. And I do. And I did back then.
Yep.
And they just happened to call it steroids back then, and now it saves our lives. It's something we need because our body was not producing it and it felt, I was like, I remember I was at 70 one time. And there's actually a thing called menopause. And it's your body is not producing testosterone. I mean, I would take a bite of food and just break into a sweat like a woman going through menopause, and didn't know what was wrong. And I called my doctor, and he goes, "It sounds to me like you got some fake testosterone." And I said, "Well, what do I do?" He goes, "Take a shot today." He said, "Then go, come back and see me. This is under doctor's insurance. This is totally legal. This is prescription.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with this at all. This is saving lives they're finding now. People just don't know it."
No question.
And,
no question.
I mean, it really is. It's saving lives, bro.
Yep.
And so when it was at 71, I took the shot. I went the next day, and it was no higher. So for the only time that I know in my life, the guy was screwing me, and I was getting my testosterone.
Bad stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
But at this stage is when the transition was happening of low T commercials and get your T levels checked, and the creams came out, and I didn't really believe in the creams, but still it is what it is. As long as your levels are up, they're up. But if they're not, you need to get them up, because it's going to count how you feel. It's going to pretend. This affects so many things when you read about it. So, yes, you need some help. And just like baseball players, and those guys, anytime you see a little bit of a jacked up baseball player, trust me, he is taking testosterone. And he's taking it legally, just like I am, through a doctor. And there's nothing wrong with that, because your body needs that, and my body doesn't produce it.
Yep.
So that's my answer, and that's the truth, and you can, and those guys can. Playing 160 ball games a year, and you see this guy coming to bat all jacked up. Come on, man, you're like, wait a minute,
Exactly.
I don't want to name any names, but look at the guys. Just look at some old pictures of some guys, and then look at some recent pictures of them. I mean, it's obvious that some things that just don't. Genetics only takes you so far, But the bad part about the steroid word is they make it a bad thing, and it's not.
Yeah, how many guys look like shit at the gym also that are on all the gear in the world? There's tons of them. So it's one of those things where I don't care what your opinion is on it. You don't get to look like Buff Bagwell unless your diet's on point and you're training your ass off. Period. But people will jump.
It's got to be at a certain number.
Exactly. Well, right. To be 250 shredded. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so. Yeah.
And you can look good, and you can be big.
Oh yeah.
But you can't look like we did without
that.
help.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
But like I said, steroids are, your equipoise, growth, and see that.
Yeah.
That was not even an equation of our world.
So you were a testosterone only guy.
I mean, that's it, and that's all. And we learned through our doctor.
Right.
We would even cycle that and learn that was a bad thing. Because anytime your body, and listen to me again, this is 51 years, brother, 30-something years of being taught the body game. And listen to me. If you don't listen to nothing else, listen to this. Anytime you send your body into this motion, that's bad. You want to try to stay here. Because anytime you do like for example, let's say you take a shot of testosterone. That's going to last 10 days. So during that 10 days, here's what your body's doing. 9, 8, 9, 10 days. Shot. Here goes your body again. Now, it's only got 10-day lifespan. So, after 10 days, Then it goes down again. 10 days down. Go down. Go down. And then it gets down, you take it again. So even if you're taking a quarter of a cc of test a week, you should take half of that twice a week. Take half of the quarter on Monday and Thursday. If you don't, you're still doing this too much. Instead of having it be like this. So when they told us to take more and lower the doses, we were like, yes, this is great.
Done,
This is what we wanted. We didn't want to cycle. So the cycle thing was out. That was stupid and old and actually dangerous. So
that was going to be my next question. Was actually because, I mean, Buff Bagwell looked like Buff Bagwell year round. There wasn't any watery, cycled off Buff at any time. So that's really interesting. And I know the fans appreciate your honesty. I appreciate the honesty. Like I said, respect it either way. Not a whole lot of benefit to admitting it.
Lives. I mean, I'm saying this to save some lives and to help people.
Right.
I mean, this is something that I'm telling you. Every man out there that's listening to this, within the next week, needs to go get there. And if you don't tell them, like if you go get a physical, and you ask them, and you don't ask them to check your testosterone, they won't do it. You've got to ask them because it's too expensive and they don't want to do it. Right. But if you ask them, they got to do it. Every man alive needs to know where your testosterone is, so because that affects how you feel, how you sleep, how you train, your energy, everything, man. Your heart, your liver, your lungs, everything, man. It is people they finally found out through the medical science world that testosterone isn't a steroid. It is something that our body produces. But what happens is some guys' bodies don't. My nephews were taking testosterone when they were 20, 18 or 19. One of them was. He just had low tests for some reason. And didn't feel good. Goes to the doctor, and I go tell him to check his test. My brother Steve goes, oh man, there's no reason to do the check. I said, trust me, have him check his testosterone. His testosterone was a 25, and 200 is the lowest. It's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's dangerous as well.
There's no age range. There's no age difference. It's 200 and something to 1100. That is the number. And you've got to be somewhere in that. And you want to be around 5 or 6, you know. And if you're at 5 or 6 without taking anything, you can do it. My body didn't produce it, so I've got to take it to keep it, to keep my body, to keep it up and sleep right and feel good and not be tired and feel like crap. And like I said, I already sleep with a mask for the last 12 years. I don't want to do nothing else. So, I trained with a professional bodybuilder named Matt Duvall. And you always said a minute ago, you said what I said about TSN, about do what I do, you know, for 15 years and then come back and talk to me. And that's kind of what Matt would do. Matt would say, look, I'll buy everything I've taken for you and give it to you. And let's see how you come out looking.
Exactly.
And he was right. It still comes down to genetics, bro. Genetics still play. You can see that's the haters go, oh, that guy, he's on steroids. That's why it looks like that. That's just the guys cop out, so they feel better about themselves, not looking like the guys that like me look, the guys that like me look. That's just an easy cop out for them. That's all it is. Because all it is means is we care about our bodies, and we're doing the right thing with it.
No doubt.
That's what needs to be done.
You're right. So last bodybuilding question before we change gears here, because this is fascinating stuff. You're probably going to know where I'm going with this one, but I don't know if it's ever been asked in one of your shoots, at least not that I've seen. So one of the most stickler body parts that I get asked about as a trainer all the time is calves. And there's the Buff Bagwell calf implant story.
Oh, yeah.
So I want you to tell your experience with that, and
Absolutely.
The floor is yours.
Okay. It's actually a really good one. in the heyday, when I was first in the business, my body really was, I mean, they got some handsome stranger pictures, man. I mean, I looked.
Yeah, you
looked
cut
good,
up.
Man. I looked good. I was 19 then, bro. I was 19 and 20, and I looked good. I'm in short tights. I got legs too, and I mean,
monster.
That's back when I did it all, legs, shaving, everything, bro. I just happened to find out that was anytime you see a wrestler like a Randy Orton that wears a Triple H and wears the short tights and looks great all over, you gotta give him a round of applause, brother, because it's a that's. Do you know your legs are 76% of your body? You know that?
I believe that.
What is the least thing you train?
Yeah, legs. Yeah.
Everybody's least is legs.
All right.
So the biggest body part on our body is legs, and the least thing we train is legs.
Yeah.
And so that just tells you right there that we got it backwards. But 76.1 to be exact is the percent of what your legs are. But but look at some old pictures of that, and you know, I looked good back then, but I didn't have good calves. And you know, and guys you see that got good calves, they always have good calves. You know, it's just not something that it's something they were born with. So it was just something they had from get-go. It wasn't nothing they got in the gym by. And trust me, we tried. We did the wear the flip-flops and, you know, do the donkey.
Walk on your tippy toes,
and we tried it all, bro. And they wasn't going nowhere. And I wanted, keep in mind, my body was, to what I considered, it was perfect for what I wanted.
Yep.
But I didn't have any calves. And I wanted calves. And so a couple of guys around the gym that I knew had gone to this doctor and got calf implants, and they looked spectacular. I mean, spectacular. And so, I mean, this is not something that I jumped into and didn't investigate. I mean, I really wrapped my hands around this and looked and went and saw 2 or 3 guys that this doctor did. And one of the guys I knew, 2 of the guys I didn't know, but I still went and met them, and they let me see their calves and see where the incision was and how it worked and everything, and da-da-da-da. So it seemed pretty easy and simple. So I go in and get it done, and of course, it backfires. And of course, the rumors are, you know, the silicone, nothing to do with it. Matter of fact, I still got them in a box upstairs. They're just 4 silicone little things that look like a knee pad in football.
Yeah.
But they're positioned like a calf. You got your inner one and your outer one. And the inner one's a little bit longer, a little bigger. So there's 4 of them. And they cut you in the back of your knee, and they slide the 4 things like your calf down in between your fascia and your skin. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not a doctor, but it's somewhere between, you know, the muscle and the skin or fascia. So, bro, day 3, I'm laying there with my legs up in the air, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and my mom is scratching my legs, like tickling them, you know, like rubbing them, kind of tickling them. And I said, look, I can't take this no more. Just give me an Ambien. Let me go to sleep. And she goes, baby, I'm telling you, I've never seen you hurt like this. I think
something's not right.
I think you need to go to the doctor now. I said, you really think so? I said, come on, man. I said, the emergency room and all that shit. She goes, Mark, I'm just telling you, I ain't never seen you hurt like this. So we got in the car. As soon as they wheeled me in, they started cutting my pants off. I was 8 hours away from amputation. If I'd gone to sleep, I may have lost my legs to the knee down. They don't get much more real than that, though.
No, man.
Hey, and as they're getting ready to take them out, You know me, I go, is there any other way we can do this? Because I had calves now, man. I'm excited. I go,
love it, yeah.
Is there any other thing we can do? They can be sure. And they're like, and the doctor looks at me and goes, do you want to walk or not? And I said, yes, I want to walk. He said, then no, there's no answer. So he charged me $10,000 to put them in and charged me $2,500 to take them out. So for $12,500, he blamed it on me, not staying off it long enough or something. It had only been 3 days. All I was told to do was where you could walk, even after the surgery. I walked out of the place. Mm-hmm. But you had to walk with, like, remember those boots that everybody wore, like high-tech boots?
Yeah.
You know, with the heel on them. And that's all that they ask you to do, is to wear something that has, like a boot that has a heel on it. Because to take a little bit of the pressure off, but you can walk. And so, you know, I did everything they told me to do. And there wasn't no special orders or anything. That third day, bro, it was you know, something was bad wrong. And I remember them cutting my pants off and me going, come on, man, ain't there something else we can do? I mean, come on, I got calves, you know. I was excited. So after that, I came up with long tights, came up with a cool pair of boots, and that was okie dokie.
And you could walk. That's the important thing.
I could walk, and that was
that's a cool story.
That was probably the hardest thing I ever went through.
Yeah, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you have before, but I've never actually heard that story told. So that's a good one. I think people are going to like that.
I've never told that. I've been asked a lot, but I've never gone into that kind of detail with what happened.
Right.
I've been dogged out by it and all that, but people don't know the game. The game we're trying to play is you got that. I can see the look in your eye. We play the game of we're trying to look the best we can look. I'm trying. I mean, I ain't in there. I was in the gym last night, and it was all I could do to walk into place. 3 hours later, it was all I could do to make myself leave. And the only reason I left was because I called a lawnmower order in, and it was getting time to go pick it up. And it's the only reason I left. I had such a good pump, and I was doing good. And just 3 hours earlier, I was so depressed. All it takes is missing 2 days, and you know that third becomes like a game change in a month.
It's like you haven't brushed your teeth. Yeah.
It's unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable what it does. And it's a hard third day, and I drug myself in there, though, bro. I made myself train, and I did it. Hey, and that's, you know, with this injury, my knee injury, and it's coming back. It's doing well. And I'm still a couple months away from being able to wrestle, but I've gone from a walker to 2 crutches to 1 crutch to now I take the crutch with me, but only like I need it. You know, I usually it looks kind of silly. I don't care. I'm not there to impress nobody. I'm there for a reason. And
your work time.
So there's times that I'm walking carrying the crutch. You know, but eventually after walking on it enough, it's time that, you know, if it's a long walk to the next area I'm training in, I will use the crutch, you know, to get over there and then walk around the area I'm working out in. You know, but it's been a journey. This wreck was a lot, bro.
Yeah,
it was a lot.
Yeah, man. I remember even when we worked together, you had done the hip surgeries. I mean, the double shoulder replacement. I mean, you've been through some serious shit.
I know, bro.
I mean,
and still look pretty damn good, bro. I've held it together, man.
And you were out there taking bumps. I'm like, man,
up a lot of times, buddy.
And here we are to this day. I love it, man. So I will, as we transition gears here, all the bodybuilding stuff is fantastic. People are going to love this. But I know this is kind of a somber subject. You mentioned it earlier. Is there anything you want to say about Del Wilkes? Obviously, Stars and Stripes. Del's a Gamecock like myself, so always liked him. And, if there's anything you want to say about Del or share a memory We love to hear that.
Absolutely. Dale was the only guy that he actually showed up on a podcast of mine as a guest on my podcast. And he actually said what I would say if I could say it without sounding like I'm talking about myself. And that's not the point. It's not who's going to listen to what I'm saying about getting screwed over, or it's his fault or their fault, or, you know. But they call it heat in wrestling. And I've dealt with, if they call it heat in wrestling, let me tell you what they call it in Marietta, Georgia. They call it heat jealousy. And if you don't think I ain't been dealing with jealousy and heat my entire life, you're out of your mind. I mean, I come pulling up in a red Corvette at 15 years old, driving a Corvette to school at 15. I got a parking place at 15. Somebody got a legal license. This is back when those kind of days you do that, you know, if your parents had money. Yeah. That's heat, you know, or as we call it, that's jealousy. Yeah. And it's just, you know, I was excited to go to the WWF to see all of my friends. I was all excited and stuff. I walked in to my hand out to guys with arms crossed, you know. Guys that were my friends. And I was like, oh boy. This is
like that, huh? Yeah.
Rough. And brother, they always say the first one through the door gets the bloodiest.
And that was you.
I got the bloodiest.
Yeah, no doubt. And
but Dale was the only, he went on the podcast and literally spilled his guts about it. He said, Mark is one of the nicest guys in the world. He talked about the car thing, about every time he got in my car, how I knew where everything was, and I never got us lost. And he just said everything that I would want to say about myself, but as a friend, you know. And he's got the raw end of the deal because of the way he looks, and you know, yeah, he may talk the wrong talk sometimes, but it was no different. I didn't say anything different than Buff Bagwell said. It's just all of a sudden it was Buff said. It wasn't different. It was just a different name saying it. It was like, did you hear what Buff said? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, same thing that Mark said. You know, so there wasn't nothing different about it. You know, it was just all of a sudden it was what Buff said. You know, so you know, it just you get and like I said, the rest of the world they call it heat. I've been dealing with heat my whole life, dude. I mean, you know, you just go through that. If you have, I mean, bro, my parents had money. We were athletes. And we were good-looking kids, and you know, and I mean that's in the wrestling world, that's heat.
Yeah, nuclear.
At high school, that's called jealousy. I was all county in baseball, the dugout player of the week, like 6 times, and my parents owned a lumber yard. That's how they made their money, and because they gave the benches to the school that the school asked. That's why I played. That's why I was starting. You know, so it's just always.
Yeah, that's nuclear heat, no doubt.
It's just, you know, it's jealousy. It ain't heat. It's called jealousy.
Yeah.
Because
and no doubt,
everybody knew I was going to take somebody's job away. There's no doubt about it. And I got it.
Yeah.
I understood why nobody wanted me there. Obviously, if I come in, somebody's got to go. Well, I didn't know it was going to be me that went. You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, are y'all firing me? In Atlanta?
Yeah. My family's here. What the hell? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what people don't know, a lot of people don't know is me and Booker's match was considered the first match of the invasion.
Right.
That was taking place in
Tacoma,
Tacoma, Washington. The next week, which a lot of people don't know, and they forget it, they do, was Atlanta, Georgia. You tell me.
Ted Turner's backyard.
You're Vince McMahon, okay? And you got WCW and the WWF at the time. You got both companies. And your plan is to call this thing the Invasion. And instead of waiting 1 week and doing it in Ted Turner's backyard and doing the Invasion in Booker T, Buff Bagwell's main event at the Phillips Arena with a crowd going crazy, they decided to put us in Tacoma, Washington. And we got booed out of the building. And this is something that there's only 3 witnesses to. That's God, Shane McMahon, and myself. And God's not here to speak about it, but he knows. People are going to believe Shane over me, and that's okay. But I'm just here to tell you the facts. The facts are that my music was playing, and right before I went out the curtain, right before I went out, Shane McMahon walked up to me and goes, "Don't look in the camera." And I said, my music's playing, and I'm main event on Monday night. So they, we're good? I can see you. I'm seeing the camera as I have. No, you're good. I thought you did. You did. And I swear to God, I mean, right at this stage right here, and when you hear what's been said and you analyze it, if you think right here this happened to come into his head, then you're an idiot. But it's been there. He was just waiting for this to happen to get me right there. But he said, "Don't look in the camera." And I said, "Shane, have you ever seen one of our matches?" I said,
"That's what I do."
That's all I do. I said, I look into the camera. I said, and I pose. I said, that's all I do. So if you ever watch that back, from that point on, it was already thrown completely off because I was out of my realm. Yeah. I never went to the camera. If you watch that night, I rolled down the ramp, and I'm trying my best to dodge that camera. Because they told me not to look in it, and I didn't keep mine. I didn't want to get fired. This is our main event, and all that, you know. And me and Booker had I keep in mind how many great matches me and Booker T have had. How many times we've wrestled through all of my tag team partners in championship. Me and Too Cold wrestled Booker T and Harlem Heat 1,000 times. Me and Riggs 1,000 times. Me and Lex 1,000 times. Me and Steiner 1,000 times. Me and Norton 1,000 times. I mean, dude, we wrestled because they were the best tag team. So of course, I was on the other half of the best of the tag team. So from Stars and Stripes on, you know, and back to Del Wilkes again being one of the great. We won it twice, and and that's why I hurt so bad with the Dale thing. Is, you know, he was just such a great guy. But to finish off with that, I'll come back to that in a minute because I want to finish off with Dale. But when he told me that, I knew right there. I said, "This is over." So I knew it was over. Right? We knew. Me and Booker were whispering with our mouths, hands over our mouths in the back. Even the match taking place in Tacoma instead of waiting a week and doing it in Atlanta. So I promise you, the WWF knew what they were doing that night. It was done. It was over in Tacoma. We just didn't know it yet. Because why would you not wait 1 week and put Buff Bagwell and Booker T in Atlanta, Georgia, under the Invasion?
Yeah.
You know, so it just didn't make sense, you know, and they try to blame it on my mother calling me. Let's say both of them are correct. Let's say the match was horrible and my mother was calling behind my back.
Which, for the record, Buff, I remember watching the match live. I've watched it back before. people make it to this stinker of a match. It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was a barn burner, but,
Right, but
believe it or not,
to me,
here's what a lot of people don't know: the WWF actually took blame for it. Because me and Booker started having words about who Sawyer was.
right.
And this is, keep in mind, me and Booker wrestled 1,000 times and never missed a step. We had great chemistry. We had great matches. Look at them all. You won't see a misstep between me and Booker ever. And even in that match, there was not one miscue.
Yeah, there was no obvious botch.
It may not be what they wanted, it may not be, but there was no mistakes. There wasn't no stupid-looking punch or a dumb-looking kick. Everything was there. And so, in the middle of me and Booker starting to argue, Pat Patterson speaks up. Pat Patterson does the main events on the WWE.
Yep.
And he goes, look, guys, to be honest with you, this is part of our fault, if not all. He said, I do the main events on the WWE. He said, so, Johnny Laurinaitis, Johnny Ace, Johnny Laurinaitis, Joe Laurinaitis, Joe or Johnny?
I think it was John Laurinaitis, wasn't it?
Johnny.
Yeah.
And he said, because Joe's his brother.
Right.
God bless his soul, too.
Yeah.
And he said, that, I wouldn't tell where I was at. Sorry.
You were talking about them coming up and basically admitting fault for the main event.
So Johnny Ace thought Pat had got with us, and Pat had thought, since Johnny was taking care of the WCW guys, that Johnny came and talked to us. Nobody gave us a finish. Nobody told us what to do except one guy. And guess who that one guy was?
Shane.
Stone Cold.
Oh, Stone Cold, because he comes out and intervenes, right?
So guess if Stone Cold comes and tells you something to do, what would you do?
You're going to do it. You're going to do it.
You do it.
Yeah.
So Stone Cold came up to me. We just assumed that Stone Cold was coming to tell us our finish. We didn't know. Nobody told us the order of events here. But Stone Cold walks up and says, look, here's what's going on. Bagwell, when you start getting your heat, during Booker's comeback, we're going to hit the ring. You join in, help us out. We get to the back. We want to throw Booker out the back door. You act like we're all friends and family. We hit you until you got the back door too. I thought it made great sense, and that's just a place to go now. You know.
Right.
The next week, it put me and Booker against Stone Cold and Kurt Angle, and had a great main event. I mean, it was endless.
Yeah.
But when they told me not to look at the camera at this stage of the curtain, I was like, this is not good. So I was out of my and then getting booed, and still to be able to pull off even a decent match out of that was so hard, because I've never heard Booker get booed, and I've never gotten booed, and every person that walked out got booed. Stacy Keeper was our ring announcer.
I remember that.
She got booed. Shane McMahon walked out, and he got booed. Arn Anderson and Scott Hudson walked out as the announcers by the ring, and they got booed. And I can't remember why, but I was last. And Booker was the champ, so I'm not sure why I was last, but I think I was last. But
you were,
going out here and Booker get booed, and I went, oh my God. And then the curtain and Shane stops me. And I go, Shane, that's all I do. So anyway, stories like that, back to Dale Wilkes to finish him off because of just what a great friend he was in my life and how great he was. He was the only one to ever, with all the friends I had and all the friends that I loved and still love. But he was the only one to really, really, really go out and say what the truth was. The truth was, I remember the first time me and Missy Hyatt talked about it. She goes, they are going to hate your guts. So you got to walk in, you got to shake every hand. You got to be humble. they're gonna hate you because you look good, you're young. You gotta just suck it up and go with it, no matter what. And I did that, and it helped me a lot. You know, Stone Cold dumped ice water on my head for 5 straight years at center stage. And every time I came walking out of the bathroom with 30 sets of eyes waiting to see me go, who in the hell did that? And they saw this instead. Like it was nothing, because you're never supposed to sell it. But that didn't stop Stone Cold. He still kept doing it. I loved it. He kept doing it, and I never ever sold it. And finally, I finally knocked somebody out cold at a bar, and it was in front of all the boys. To be a prima donna in this business, it's tough, because you got heat from the boys, and it's hard to fit in. And the fag word's going to come out when you're a good-looking guy, no matter what. You got to overcome that, and you know, prove that that's not true. And there's just a lot of obstacles that I had to overcome. That was fine. I've been doing it my whole career, my whole life. Not my whole career, my whole life. I've been doing it. But you know, the wrestling, when you know, I knew that my age would play a big difference. It would help me a lot, because there was at least 12 years in between almost every guy. And I don't know why it was around 12. Almost every guy was around 12 years difference of our age. And 12 years is a lot. So I knew eventually they would have to use me, you know. And I'll never forget, I beat Flair, and the very next, I beat Piper on that boxing match.
Yeah, the boxing match.
The very next night, I beat Flair on a nitro in the middle of the ring with a blockbuster. And it was not in Atlanta. The next week was Atlanta. And I remember calling my dad and going, finally did it. Finally made it. They can't mess with me now. They put us up in a corner now where I beat Piper, I beat Flair. They passed the ball to me. Now we're going to Atlanta. I mean, this is it. This is great. I show up to Atlanta. David Flair beats me right in the middle, and he came and ran the ropes. He didn't even know how to run the ropes good. And he's actually a hell of a worker. I mean, he ended up being a hell of a good worker. But then he couldn't. He was just a kid that didn't know what to do. I almost had to pin myself. He was so lost. 85,000 people. The introductory match of the night was Buff Bagwell. I came out, the roof came off the place. And when I lost, it was the most bizarre sound I've ever heard in my entire life. If you could imagine 85,000 people going, and how that would sound inside of a dome. It was the longest walk from the ring back to the go position. God, it was the longest walk. And all I was hearing was, they're just messing with you, Bagwell. They're just messing with you. Don't worry about it. They're just messing with you. But I'll never forget when I got that finish that David was beating. I didn't go to our boss. I didn't go to Eric. I went to Rick. I went to Ric Flair. And I said, Rick, do you really agree with this? And he goes, absolutely. He goes, we're going to do this. I said, man, come on, man. I said, I just beat Roddy Piper. I got congratulated when I beat you by Lex, because Lex has never beat you in y'all's entire career. Do you know that? Lex Luger never beat Ric Flair.
He never racked Ric Flair. Wow.
They wrestled? Thousands.
Yeah.
And Lex never beat Flair. And so Lex, when I got to the back, Lex goes, I was going to congratulate you on something. I said, what's that? He goes, beating Flair. And I went, shit. well, you beat Flair? He goes, I've never beaten Flair. And I was like, whoa. So then I thought, well, all right, you're going to give it to me, right? So when we get there and I find out David's beating me, I go straight to Rick. Because me and Rick were really good friends. I've always loved him. We had a great relationship. Always did. And I said, Rick, you can't honestly, truthfully be wanting to go along with this idea. I said, this makes your son look better than Roddy Piper, you, and me. Do you really think he's ready for that? And he had I can't remember, every word he said went in one or out the other, because it was just him trying to sell me on the fact that it made sense, and it didn't. All we did was let down 85,000 people that bought tickets that wanted to see Buff Bagwell do his little dance and do his little pose and hit the blockbuster.
And go home.
Instead, 85,000 people from the very first match on watched a shitty-ass Nitro, because they were so blown away that they actually beat. I mean, everywhere you look was Buff Bagwell's side, you know? And then it was so good, and the whole time I'm looking at it. We're not going to look like that in 2 minutes. I said, this is going to hurt. And it did, bro. It was a long walk, brother. Woo!
Man.
Long walk.
Well, that's awesome, man. I mean, I don't know. I know Flair had a lot of booking power at the time, but I mean, to change gears, this is an interesting subject. I remember us talking about it on the phone before we've actually gone live here. But let's talk about Buff Bagwell in 1998, 1999. You're shredded. You're one of the most notable faces in the company. One of the things we talk about on this show is women, and how, especially today, there's a lot of guys out there that struggle with this. So I don't know if you know this, but there's more young men who are involuntarily celibate in the world today than ever. Guys aren't out there. They're not getting after it. So from Buff Bagwell's perspective, what was that like? And what's your advice to the listeners who are struggling in that department?
Well, for starters, I was always married. So it really, really, really was tough on me.
Would you recommend that at a young age?
Yeah, and that's actually caused my first marriage. I cheated on my first wife and told her. And I remember all the wrestlers coming up to me going, "You fucking idiot. What are you doing?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And they go, I mean, what have you done? I go, dude, I mean, she was all over me. I mean, for 3 months she was on me. And I finally just went, I did it, okay? I did it, okay? Oh my God. And so we tried for a year. I do what's called, I paid my dues. I paid my time. She was going to I go on a trip to work, and her and her sister were going to Jamaica.
Right.
Who's paying the tab? Me. And then she was going somewhere else on another trip when I was on another trip. She went somewhere else. And then all of a sudden, one day, it's been about a year long now, of me pulling over with a car full of wrestlers dogging me out. Keep in mind, no cell phones. I'm pulling over with pay phones, going home. I'll be at the hotel in an hour. Hang up, get to the hotel, call when I got to the hotel. I paid my dues to try to show her, hey, look, I'm sorry. We can make this work. Let's not let this run this. I told the truth. You know, let's let it go, man. Let's just let it go.
She couldn't let it go.
I finally was in the living room one day and heard her planning a trip to Las Vegas with her sister. And I decided right there that was this. I'm going to give her the ultimatum, and it's going to be the complete ultimatum.
Yeah.
I'll let her finish the conversation, and right before she got done, I went and sat down in the kitchen where she was at, And she on the phone. She goes, "What's up?" And I said, "I'm going to ask you a question." And I said, "You probably won't take the full 2 minutes, but I'm going to ask you to take the full 2 minutes." I said, "And I want you to take the full 2 minutes and tell me what you think at the end of it, and we'll go from there." And I said, she said, "Okay, what's the question?" I said, "If you can't forgive me in the next 2 minutes for what I've done the last year to try to rebuild what I admitted doing to you," I said, "I'm putting these shoes on that are between my legs. I'm going to go get into my 1991 white Corvette. I'm going to drive it to my lawyer, and I'm going to divorce you." And I swear to God, she took about a minute 50, which is pretty shocking. I was shocked. Matter of fact, I was like going, wow. I thought for sure she'd come out with something pretty quick. You know, well, you started this, and your fault, and then she just instantly, she heard it loud and clear, and she just started thinking. And at about a minute 50, she said, "I can't forgive you." I just went straight down, put my right shoe on, my left shoe on, went and got my Corvette, went straight and got a divorce. Talked her into keeping the lawyers out of it, paid her $1,500 a month, kept the house, and of course, the more it went, it got a little ugly, but still, you know, I was smart enough to put in there if she got pregnant by anybody that it negated the $1,500 a month.
Yep.
And because I didn't want to raise another man's baby.
Yep.
And for some reason, I thought that I was smart enough to think about that at the age of 24. And I remember getting the phone call. Cell phones are out now. I got the phone call. Then I was in my Jeep with my second wife, which was my girlfriend at the time. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Hey," and so I answered the phone, and somebody was like, "Hey, Tanya's pregnant." I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "That's great. That's great news." And keep in mind, my inside, like, you know, I was in love with her, you know.
Sure.
And then, you know, Ernest Miller was the baby, was the father, and you know that was another thing because he was in the company, and she didn't know it. So here she's divorced, a wrestler, and he hid being a wrestler from her as much as he could. He was going to be a wrestler too, so now she's got out of the world of wrestling and then right back in it.
Right back in.
I feel bad for her, but she, I'm never sitting there talking to Erica about it. I said, "Hey, I'm pregnant, you know." She goes, "Really?" Yeah. She goes, "Who's the dad?" I said, "Ernest Miller." She goes, "You're." I said, "No." I said, you know, I said, "I don't really know Ernest, but you know, that's her power, her, you know, that's her deal. That's her deal." I said, "I wish her the best, you know." Because me and Tanya were great friends, and we still are. We still talk. At least every couple of weeks we speak, and she's a great woman. And but all of a sudden it hit me. I went, "Wait a second." So I got the phone back out and called my mom. And I said, "Mom," my mom was the warrior of the family. She was the go-getter. And I said, "Mom," I said, "Go look at my divorce papers." I said, "I think I wrote into the divorce papers, if she got pregnant, it stops the pains." And my mom goes, "Son, you're a smart boy. I love you, but I want to tell you, I think you're wrong on this, buddy. I don't think you thought about that at 24." I go, "I don't know." I said, it's been a couple of years. You know, that's a long time. I said, "I'm telling you," I said, "I got a funny feeling. You know, that I did that." About 5 minutes later, she called me back. She said, "Don't ask me how. Don't ask me who gave you the idea, because it wasn't me. But it's in here, and you put it in the big papers." So, for the first time, and maybe the only time in my life, I waited for a phone call and wanted to be right for the woman. Maybe the only time in my life. And I waited for that phone call, and here it comes. About a week past due, and the check was supposed to be coming. And I had to start, I go, hello. And she goes, hey, what's going on? I said, hey, baby girl, what's going on? Good. How you doing? I said, good. She said, I know you've been probably busy and everything, but just wondering, if you got a chance to send the check out yet? I said, oh, and I'm sorry. I said, I forgot to call you about that. I said, I don't owe you no more money. She goes, excuse me? I said, well, if you'll go to page 24, so-and-so / so-and-so, ... I go, you'll see that if you get pregnant, the payment stops. I got dog cussed by her and her mother, and just laid the phone down and listened, and never felt better in my life over being, for once in my life, correct and right about something. And they cussed me every which way you can, and they were just mad that they were out $1,500 a month now, you know. And they're great. They're great people. I mean, Doc is a wonderful. My brother was a great woman, and Tanya's a great woman. But you're a single mom, and that's a lot of money. $1,500 a month's a lot of money.
No doubt.
And but to deliver that news and be right about it was something she wasn't expecting. That I was going, this is going to be a pretty bad ending.
But a big win in the end. So then after that, you transition.
$36,000 win.
Huge win. And I'll tell you what, a lot of the people that listen to this podcast have paid out a lot more than that. So that's a great cautionary tale to everybody out there. So as you go on then, like I said, as you kind of re-enter the world and you're ascending, what's that like? And, how does Buff Bagwell run his game on the league?
My mother had a book, and she kept up with the girls by the states they lived in. And I'd call my mother and say, hey, what's the girl's name in Ohio? The blonde hair. Oh, her name's Dee. I said, I'm going to give you her number. She'd give me her number, and then I just would connect with everything. And my mom literally had a book that she kept up with the girls that I was with and spent time with throughout my career of being single. And but it was an absolute blast. But we'd be at titty bars in Atlanta, and every girl in the place would be at our table. And they know there's not money coming out. All that, all my friends were bodybuilders too, good-looking guys and all that. So here's the whole bar looking over at our table, and all the girls are at our table. And the manager walks up to me and goes, "This was so cool that it was uncool. It was time to leave. That's how cool it was." And right before he walks up, the one girl goes, "Look, you're on TV." And I look up, and one of my wrestling matches is on television. So here I am at Titty Bar with every girl at our table, and my wrestling matches on television. It don't get much cooler than that.
That's real king shit right there.
Cool that it's almost uncool. And about the same time, the manager goes, "Mr. Bagwell, do you mind if we have a couple of the girls from the other patrons?" And I said, "Well," I said, "I'm not keeping them here." I said, "Take whatever you want, whatever you want." I said, I ain't spent $1 here except for a couple of beers. I said, "But are you kidding? I ain't spent no money." So I said, "Money's not keeping them over here." So I literally got the whole group and said, "Hey guys, let's go." But it was just so cool. Like I said, it was actually uncool. And I said, let's go guys, let's go. So we went to the Cheetah where there's a bigger playing field and bigger stars and so wasn't as bad. But that was at a club called the Oasis. And it was just, like I said, it was so cool. It was kind of uncool, so it was just time to go. But it was a hell of a ride, bro. It was a lot of fun. I had a blast, and I rode it all the way, you know. I rode it all the way to my second wife, which was about 8 years. I moved in 3 guys with me. And so we had 4 guys in one house, and it was just a rotating door, bro. It was just, at one stage, during my cads, there were 3 girls on the couch waiting for me to ask them to do something for me. 3. And I mean, and I'd say like I need a Diet Coke, and they would like fight over who was going to go, like be trying to, you know, edge each other out of the way to go get the Diet Coke for me. Because I'm in a chair, got my legs elevated, I can't walk. If my guy that took care of me wasn't there, I'd just hop in the floor and scoot myself into the bathroom, pull myself up on the toilet to go pee.
Yeah.
And he was there. Yeah. I got on his back and he took me in. So I couldn't walk, you know. And every time my therapy for like 6-8 months was just to lower my legs below my heart. And it was the most painful thing in the world. And it was like, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. It was just because that blood was getting back down into and it was trying to circulate in there, and it was brutal. So that was my therapy for like 6 months.
Yeah.
It was a brutal,
so there's more proof.
Brutal comeback.
More proof to the listeners. 3 girls on the couch. Women would rather share a mega alpha male like a Buff Bagwell than go off with some loser beta who doesn't, you know, have anything going for it. So get in the gym.
The advice I'm going to give people is really, I did it to do the right thing, not knowing it was going to triple my activity with women and make me a really good guy in the process. That was, I told the truth. Just like I do on this podcast, just like I do on every podcast. At 24, out of that divorce came, I wasn't going to lie no more. Now, if I never lied, of course I've lied. You lie, we all lie. Whether they're a little lie, a big lie, we've all lied. But I really focus on not lying. And never to girls. Never. So girls will call me up and they go like, hey, what are you doing tonight? You know, I mean, I got a date. Well, you do? With who? Missy. Missy Melton. Oh, where are you guys going? Raised on the river? I mean, I would just tell the exact truth. And instead of it driving them away, it drove them toward me. Because they're going, wait a second, he's actually a good guy. He's telling the truth. And that led to the 3 girls on the couch. I mean, you can't make a story like that up, bro. 3 girls on the couch fighting for a position to go in, get me what I wanted. And I was even uncomfortable for them. But I know what you do. You get out. No, I wrote it, you know.
Absolutely.
But eventually, what I thought was the wrong move, which is telling the truth, which caused all this action toward me, eventually the truth wore it down to where they did go away. You know, the truth was too much, and they didn't so it made it easier. But at first it made it harder.
Sure.
Tell the truth, I thought it would make it easier, it made it harder. Because it made my choices more, and there was more girls than I wanted. And I was like, wait a minute, this is not supposed to go like this. If I tell them the truth, it's going to be like, oh, the hell with them, I'm out of here, you know. Instead, they were like, oh my God, he's the greatest guy in the world, he's so sweet. And all I was doing was just being straight up. You know, I didn't want to lie to nobody no more. I already ruined the marriage over it. I wasn't going to lie no more. Even my second wife, before I married her, I said, look, still in love with my first wife. You're young. You're good looking. I don't want to run your life. I'm telling you, I think you should run for your life. And she said, I'm going wherever you go. I said, well, I just wanted you to know that's my advice. And the warning's been out there, so I believe that's the along to you. So
don't say I didn't warn you.
Right. So there was no way she could come back and blame me for it. But she signed, of course, when they were signed a prenuptial and all that, so she ended up just, it was just a crazy. We were just great friends. We had a blast. She actually got the best ride in Buff Bagwell, with the private jets and fly me down for the Capital One commercial in Miami and fly me right back on the private jet. She got to take some all of that, driving the Jag and the $100,000 car and the $1 million house she helped me build, and she got the best of all that. So really, she got a hell of a run, and she got something that she'll never be able to be ever again.
Sure.
Something that I won't be able to. Something I won't be able to do again. But we spent it together, and we were just great friends. The catch was, I wasn't really in love with her. I tried, but I wasn't. We were just great friends. And so that's what we did. We just partied and we're good friends.
Yeah.
But it ended, tragically, of course, as usual. There's not many
as they do.
In a divorce, but you don't know too many guys that got 4 divorces and they divorced all 4. That's
a great point.
So this ain't one of those guys that's 2 or 1 for 3. I'm 4-0, bro. And I'm not trying to be cool. It's just I just never got divorced because I didn't do anything wrong,
Right.
I tried to explain it to them, and if they didn't get it, it's out, baby.
Were you doing that knowing that you had to pay the toll on the way out to, or are you aligning those marriages with a nice prenuptial agreement in advance? How does Buff line that up?
0. That was the prenup. 0. Now, when I divorced my second wife, I felt bad about it being 0. That I bought her a car and I gave her $1,000 a month, I think, for a year or something. Just because I felt bad for her. And it still led her down a horrible road to dancing and drugs and everything else.
Yeah.
We got the top. I never saw her again. But we talked on the phone twice, and then we'll tell our nightmare story of my legal action, my legal stuff, and her life stuff. And was able to talk a couple times, and I never ever saw her again.
Yeah, interesting. Well, let's talk about that now. So, what exactly went down with the recent legal stuff? A lot of people have been coming out, other wrestlers talking about how they're concerned, clear the air on that, because it seems like there's been some misunderstanding.
To be totally honest with you, the misunderstanding is the media has tied 2 of my incidences together. That's really it. It's really not a very interesting story. It's just, I call him Lex, which is my best friend. He's going to tell you the truth, no matter what. And what upset me is Dallas Page and me are great friends too. And he'd gone on this guy's name's Hannibal. And he
I've seen that,
drilled me. And he's had all these guys on his show dogging me out. But what those guys don't realize is they're talking about something that happened 10 months ago.
Right. The initial accident.
I don't know that because the way the media did it, and even Lex goes, Martin, I ain't gonna lie to you. I read it, and they made it sound like a Tasmanian drunken devil come rumbling through Atlanta, just rampaging and ripping everything apart. And after hearing your story, I don't blame you being mad at Dallas for speaking when he didn't know the whole truth. So I called Dallas up and I said, you were talking about something 10 months old. He goes, bro, you were doing this yesterday. I said, you were talking about something that was 10 months old. I said, they're just tied together. He was like, oh man, I'm sorry about that. I was like, thanks for the sorry. Don't do me no good now, but Dallas, I love him to death, and I'll always do things for Dallas. He just didn't know, and got asked a question that maybe he shouldn't have answered, but he did. And I wanted to at least know that it was something that if y'all wanted to be worried about me, y'all are 10 months late. But all the guys are so worried that all this craziness that happened, and Lex finally straightened it out for me. Mark, I'll be honest with you, the way the media wrote it, man, it sounded like, I was like, God dang, what has Bagwell done this time? He said, because they really wrote it like it all happened at once. And now I'm hearing your side of the story and hearing two completely different stories. This just blows my mind.
Right.
So he goes,
so what with the most recent one?
Dallas, but still, it's just, you know, he said they did word it where it was like one incident.
Right.
But it wasn't.
Right.
It was two.
Right. So they're lumping in the prescription medication that was involved in the first accident with the second incident, right? So what exactly went down this recent time?
The recent time, the person thinks I hit him and I didn't, and I got charged with hit and run. And now I don't know if you know the definition of a hit and run, but hit and run is you hit and you run.
You run.
Well, this guy comes running up behind me, so I pull over, thinking something's wrong. And he goes, "Hey man, you hit me." And I go, "What do you mean I hit you?" And so he shows me, you know, in the car. I said, Show me on your car where I hit you. And he had nowhere to show me because there wasn't no marks. And I said, he goes, you can't see anything, but maybe something. So I don't know if he saw me and thought he could get money. I don't really know the story. I don't know. My court date's coming up July 22nd, 23rd. 22nd for the recent one. The 23rd is for the 10-month ago one. But the 10-month ago one, the DUI charges, I'm not sure what that DUI is, but I had surgery 2 days before that. So, you know, I'm sure there's stuff in my system still or whatever. You know, it's not an alcohol DUI. So all the worrying and all that, I think it just, everybody just flipped out over it and just really didn't have the whole story. But it's really two instances, and them tied together, it does sound awful horrible. But really, when it all comes out, they're going to see it's not as bad as they thought. And if they're worried about me, they're 10 months late. Because this is 10 months ago. Yeah. I think I got 12 charges, and 9 of them were 10 months ago.
Yeah.
And listen to me, on this recent one, they got me for speeding.
Right.
There was never a cop behind me.
Yeah.
How do you get speeding? So, I don't know. I got crossing the gore. I go back to the location to look. There's not even a gore. So, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm confused on this recently. And they hit and run. Why'd I pull over? You know, so there's just, you know, things like that I you know, just have to wait and see what the judge says, and we'll, you know, I don't know.
Right. And that's a tough thing. I know it's funny. And I was talking to Coco Beware the other day, who's a friend of mine, and he was even on the phone, and I was telling him about our interview. I'm going to have Coco on the show, and he said, well, make sure Buff's doing okay. You know, I heard that he's got the, you know, the issues and all this stuff. And I was like, well, you know, we're going to get to the bottom of it for sure. But I mean, I don't know that that's the case from really, when I've talked to him.
This was it was a complete 2 incidences thing that happened. And like I said, to sum it up, make it simple, 9 of the 12 charges, and keep in mind that's something else that people don't understand. There's a big difference in charges and convictions.
Right.
I can be charged with 80 things, but what I get convicted with is different. I'm not being convicted of anything yet. Now, I probably will be, but I'm not yet. And there's 12 charges on me, but to let people understand, 9 of them were 10 months ago. So they just tied them together, and together they do sound like a horrible story. But they really are just 2 complete separate things that happened. And it just sounds real bad the way the media put it together.
Right.
TMZ so let me do a rebuttal and tell this kind of same part of my story, but people don't. That's not news. News is. Did you hear what Bagwell did? Oh my God, listen to this.
Yeah.
That's news. So
the nice mugshot that they flash
here as good as it being won. So let's make this thing won and make it sound real bad.
Right. So to the people, because I've gotten a lot of questions leading up to this about your interview, and we'll put it to rest here. The people that are concerned about Buff Bagwell's substance abuse problems, all these things, you're in good health, you're happy, you're doing okay.
Great. In the gym, 235, been in the best shape of my life, feel the best I've felt in years. And that's even with the knee. I'm coming back from this knee surgery thing and from the first wreck. And they had to rebuild my whole patellar tendon. And so just getting over that and just trying to get my body back is all I've been doing. I mean, it started with me going to the gym with a walker. I was in the gym with a walker. I could barely get a workout in. I could barely get a set in. Those people were like going, oh my God, what are you doing here with a walker? You talk about inspiration, And I was thanking them at the same time. I'm going, can I get a set, bro?
Yeah.
Please? Can I get a set right quick? I mean, I thank you. But can I get a set? Yeah. So then it went from the walker to 2 crutches, and then now to 1 crutch, and then some no crutches. Sometimes I get around the gym most of the time without a crutch at all.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you what, man. When that video came out of you with the walker in the gym, that gave me like chills. I was like, I love that stuff. Well, you posted it on Instagram, I think. You were sitting on the thing and you said, I'm still getting it. I've got the walker, whatever. And I was like, man, if that's not a guy,
I did.
If that's not a guy who doesn't love to fucking train, then what is? And I mean, I just love that shit. I love that's in your blood, man. You cannot.
Yeah.
That's bred over many years and appreciation that some people will never understand.
That's a dedication you can't teach, you can't learn, you can't show it. You got to do the distance. It's in your blood. I mean, when I was able to go back to the gym, I was able to get underdressed. So like I said, if anybody that was worried about me, if there was a substance abuse problem, which there wasn't, but if there was, it would have been then. But I was in the hospital for 7 weeks. And then a month out of that, it's a car wreck. So where was the time for me having trouble or being in trouble? I don't know where that was at. Sure. I was in the hospital for 7 weeks, bro.
Yeah.
21 surgeries.
Jesus.
So if they weren't worried about it, everybody should have worried about me then. I got 1 phone call. Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash is the only one to call. And he was the first one to call me on this one.
Yeah.
But I think he didn't believe me either, and he wanted me to go to rehab and all that. I said, Kev, I know you're not going to believe me, but this ain't that kind of thing. This is not. This is just a freak accident that happened, and there's a lot of charges, but there's a lot of truth that ain't been told yet. And we had to go to court to figure that out, and we're going to do that. But I could tell by his voice, he felt like I was just lying to him. So I felt bad about it, and I called him back, and I just said, man, please believe me, I'm not in trouble. If I was, I'd say, look, help me, but I'm not. And so, to declare the story, I feel I told my dad the other day, I don't think I've felt this good mentally and physically in a long, long time. I mean, years. I'm getting back in the gym again, and I'm actually getting stronger, I mean, we're talking about, I just got back to doing, barely, 185 for 80.
Right.
That's a ton of weight to me now, So, I remember when I first put the first wheels on, I remember a big guy came up in the gym and he goes, "When's the last time you done that?" And I go, "It's been a while, brother." He must have had his eye on me for a while and watching me, doing the 95 pounds and add the 10 and the 5 and not quite a wheel yet,
Right.
And then all of a sudden I was going to put a wheel on one day. And he was like, "Wow, how does it feel to be able to put a wheel on?" And I said, "It feels good."
There's something about those wheels, isn't it? When you get to 1, you get to 2, you get to 3. Yeah, there's definitely something in your head
I'm
that
really
clicks on.
excited about it.
Hey, man, I love it. It's inspiring, and I'm glad that people can hear that, because it's like, look, this is for life. You don't get a body like Buff Bagwell with a 6-week training plan. This is like you said, 32 years or
32
longer.
years, brother.
I mean, it doesn't stop, and it never will, right? I'm sure you're the same as me. We'll do it until we're dead.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. There's no doubt. No doubt
so
about it.
yeah, man. And I guess to kind of keep it on the subject of health, this is another question I got about quite a bit leading up to your interview. Is people want to know, because I know you've mentioned a few times that she's been struggling with her health, is how's your dear mother? A lot of fans of Judy, and we just want to hear an update on how she's doing.
Man, she got popular, but she's not doing so good. She's got dementia, and she gets lost sometimes. She goes in and out of it, and she's 77, but it's tough to watch. It's really hard to watch, because really, anybody that's ever gone through the dementia thing with their family, it really kills. It's really killing both your parents, because to watch the father or the whoever don't have it, to have to listen to the crazy things that she says or things she saw, and not want to correct them. You're supposed to go along with them. But in the Bagwell family, that's very hard to do. My dad's like, "Mom, you know better than that. We just talked about that earlier, But she'll say something just off the chain, and it's just depressing. It's real depressing. But we just do the best we can, and we just keep fighting the best we can for her. She's healthy. She's just her mind's gone, man.
Yeah. We're all thinking about her, and I know you'd mentioned that before, and so we appreciate the update on that.
Absolutely, thanks for asking.
Of course, man. Yeah, we care. You got a lot of people that really appreciate you, myself included, obviously, from the interactions we've had, and even coming on this. And so, you got a lot of people, it sounds like, even, Kevin Nash reaching out, DDP, even though he said those things, was saying it with the best intentions.
Scott Hall called me about Scott. Cut the last few flights we saw each other on. You got wheelchaired off of them.
Right.
You worry about yourself and then come back to me, baby.
Right.
But Scott's a great guy.
Those drinks in first class will get you.
I love him to death. He's a great guy. He called because he loves me, and I love him.
Yeah, man. That's good stuff. There's definitely love, and I guess to kind of wrap up, there was just a few rapid fire questions that people wanted me to ask you. Number one, what's your thoughts on AEW, and what are your opinions on the cons having a wrestling company? Obviously, it's good for competition with WWE,
right?
But what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's great. I think they're a lot more like WCW. And I mean, I could definitely, even if I ever had a chance again, which don't look like I will, but if I did, I would like to see myself at AEW over Vince, because I just think it's more WCW looking, with Sting there, and and Arn and Tully, and just the whole group you see there, the Giant. I mean, Jericho. it really does seem more WCW style, everything does. I mean, Dusty Rhodes is who hired me, you know, and me and Cody only met one time, I think, just once, but still, his father hired me and gave me this, 32 long career. So, but me and Cody really never had a chance to be friends, and he went to school at a mile from my house. I had a chance to go to his school, but they didn't have football the first 2 years. So I stayed at Sprayberry, which
Gotcha.
is our opposite school. I was right in the middle of both. I could have gone either one. And we ended up beating them in baseball my senior year, but they killed us in football when they finally got a team. But the first 2 years, at least, I wasn't able to take the ball at all. So, I'm glad I stayed at Sprayberry and all that, but he was a hell of an athlete, at Lassiter. So, state champion several times, I think. But we've never really had a chance to sit down and talk, so I don't really know Cody. I just know him. He seems like a really good guy.
Yeah. All right.
So I like that thing. I think it's a good thing, and like I said, it reminds me of where we were at WCW when nobody really knew us yet. We were trying to get out there, and then finally we did, and took over.
Right. Okay. The other one was I think you've addressed this before, but the Cowboys for Angels Showtime gig, right? What was that like? How did you get involved in that? And I know some people think that stuff's real. I've heard that it's actually not. When you're actually in there in the show filming, it is entertainment, right?
Yeah,
but what was your experience like with that?
To answer your last question first, it's not. And that's how they keep, it from being X-rated. How come Showtime can do it and it not be X-rated? So that's how. It's not really happening.
Right.
But it's all, it's a stage thing. And don't get me wrong, there's still touching and things like that. There isn't, things past
penetration.
That.
Yeah.
What got me into that was my manager wanted me to get out of wrestling. And I was done with wrestling. I was tired of the independence and just brutal and high school gyms and just digging and traveling. My manager was a millionaire, and he had a great company, and he wanted me to come work for his company, and I said, no problem, let's do it. So changed my number, changed my phone number, and he falls and hits his head in his house and dies with a brain hemorrhage. I had a car wreck 7 days after that. That was the bad one. The first was the bad one. I was in a coma. Yeah. So coming out of a coma is 40 pounds are gone. Nobody knows if I'm dead or alive. And no promoter's got my phone number. So I get my body back in shape again. And I call my new manager and I go, it's time, bro. It's time for what I said. It's time to whore Buff Bagwell out. And actually, it was my wife that thought of the show, Gigolos, not knowing really what was all in it, except this looks like something my husband could do, and we'll do it. Well, I went on there trying to defend, being married. TMZ was all over it. How can you be a gigolo when you're married? Da, 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 da. So I was trying to take up for her by saying, look, it's like a movie. It's not real. Well, Showtime called me and goes, look, bro, you got to shut up. We're trying to sell a product here,
Yeah.
And I ain't the reason why, but they didn't pick the show up anyway. So the show I was on was the highest rated show. We did 11 on the show I was on. So they hired me I was going to run Gigolos in Atlanta and have my own group. And Garen, his name's Brett, but Garen, he was going to run the guys out Vegas.
Vegas.
And then we're going to have, Vegas and Atlanta, and have both going, and have a kind of a, like a invasion kind of thing.
Right.
Tom didn't pick them back up for whatever reasons, and that was it.
Yeah.
But
okay,
my plan worked. It got me back out there, and people got to see me again, and knew I was back out there again, and knew I was back in shape, and got my size back, and was ready to go, and my phone started ringing again.
Well, and I remember, if I remember correctly, it wasn't that long after the car wreck. I mean, you rebuilt yourself pretty damn fast.
Pretty quick on that one, man. I was 263 when we filmed that. I was actually fast.
Jeez.
Because there's a side profile shot of me that I saw in that tape that I'll never watch the video again because I look like hell. I think I was actually
263.
Damn. With a shirt on, I looked incredible. But I had a gut, I had a belly. I was 263. Because I was trying to get my weight back from the horrible car wreck, Well, you don't worry about where the weight goes at first. You just get it back on you. Then you focus on cardio and getting it right in bad places. But you need to get that weight back on you first, And so that's what I did. But that was right when I got my weight fully back on me. So I was 263 and really, kind of chubby. And that was probably the worst I've ever been out of shape on television. And but I got back tight pretty quick, and then was back wrestling again.
Right. And then last one here. What is the plan? I mean, you're 51 now, right?
51.
And so you're rebuilding Buff again. I have no doubt you will.
Yes.
But at some point, when is enough with the bumps? I mean, I was explaining to Vinny before this, when I was in, doing my short tour in the business, traveling as much as I do for work, lifting as much as I do, I couldn't handle the bumps. And so I can only imagine at 51, after all the shit you've been through, what's the next step for Buff Bagwell when the wrestling chapter does come to an end?
I don't know, bro. I don't think none of us really know. Even when I first started with independent wrestling, I remember asking my wife, I go, what's the difference of your job and mine? Tell me the difference. And she was smart enough to instantly go, nothing. And I said, you know what? You're exactly right. I've got zero security in what I'm doing for a living, and you've got zero security in your job. There's nothing different in our job. I signed a 3-year deal. That means for 3 years, which is a long time, your bills are paid, bro. And paid good. 3 years is a long time to not have to worry about your power going to get paid, and your food's going to be fixed, and your bills and your cars are going to be, and you got a motorcycle, and whatever it is, you got 3 years of your bills, you got money coming in. And so when that goes away, that was the only thing I kind of overlooked that surprised me was how much security you actually did have with wrestling because you were able to sign a contract for 3 years. And that's 3 years, that's a long time not to worry, bro. And that's a wonderful situation to have security.
No doubt.
And nobody out there in any job they're in has it. Nobody's got security.
Right.
People that work for IBM don't sign a contract. So there's no security for them either. It's just not. So I don't know. My job in my mind is just to get back to be Buff Bagwell again. And I'm about 80% there. And I'll be there. And there's no doubt in my mind I'll be 100% back. After that, I could see doing something with AEW, but don't know, and would love to. I can see doing something for anybody. What's old is new again, in every business. And
no doubt.
And being just 51, I mean, look at Flair. My God, he's been a god in 70 something.
Right.
So who knows? I don't know that answer except I know you just take it one step at a time, one day at a time, and that's right now my job is to get me back healthy.
I don't know, man.
And that's what I'm going to do.
I love it. And looking back after 32 years, is there anything that you would change? I mean, you got the short end of the stick without a doubt when you went to WWF. Like you said, first guy through the wall. But would you change a thing looking back?
I don't know what I did is the problem.
Right.
I think I've mentioned this before on previous podcasts. I literally, without exaggeration, I would almost give up a contract to know the real truth behind why I got fired. Because I don't know. It wasn't my mother. Even if she did call, you don't get fired over that. So what if she did? Tell your mother to quit fucking calling us, right?
Right.
If you have another bad match, you're going to be fired. There was never a warning. It was just a match and you get out. So I don't know what I did to be sorry for. I don't know what I did.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. You know, we all were on pills and doing things we didn't want to do because of our injuries and stuff. You know, we have to keep going at our age. But you know, everybody was. You know, like I was the only guy, so that wasn't it. So I don't quite know why. You know, I don't know.
I think I was thinking about it the other day. I don't know. In fact, I'm almost 100% sure there's never been somebody who their only match was the main event of Raw, and then they were gone. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
I was wrestling a show.
And it's not like,
I was wrestling a show in Cleveland, Ohio one night, and I was a heel, and I've never been a heel in my life at an independent show against Raven, and so I'm working as a heel. And it's what we call a smart mark crowd. And it's 300 or 400 people, just all smart marks. And I'm working his leg, you know, and it gets a little quiet. When it does, a guy goes, Buff Bagwell wrestles one time in the WWF. And the whole crowd goes, ooh. And I'm thinking to myself, I keep working Raven's leg, you know. But I'm thinking, what am I going to say back to this, you know? But I'm not playing that off. I'm still working his leg, thinking I'm going to come up with something. As soon as that ooh came down, I turned to the guy and I said, that's one more time than you, motherfucker. And the crowd just, Buff, you know. And it's the truth. I only did it once.
No doubt.
But it's one more time than you, bro.
Well, and the thing is, like, it wasn't like you were moonlighting in the star. I mean, you were a top guy in WCW. So it just something doesn't add up.
When I got fired, I raised my hand. I was raising my hand in the room. And they said, you don't got to raise your hand, Mark. I said, I feel like I need to. I don't understand. Are y'all firing me?
Right.
I'm sitting there not knowing what they're talking. I'm sitting there not knowing what they're going to ask me. I'm not looking around like a deer in headlights. All of a sudden they go, we're going to release you. I said, well, I raised my hand again. I go, what's the difference of release and firing? And when they had an answer for that, I just said, start shaking hands, smiling, and exit the building. So, and that's what I did. I just started shaking hands and rolling my bags the other way, so every guy's going, Bagwell, where are you going? Where are you going? And I'm just going as fast as I can out the door. So I don't have to answer, and I'm trying not to cry. Walking to a Jag I can't afford. Driving to $1 million house I can't afford no more. And I'm fired.
Yeah.
The last person I saw was Chris Benoit and Woman. They were outside, and I saw them as I walked to my car. He was, where are you going, man? I said, I just got fired. He's like, what?
Were there ever, because I remember thinking, you know, in those late 90s days, especially during the Monday Night Wars, Buff Bagwell to me was a Vince McMahon type guy. Was there ever conversations with the WWF where they were looking at, you know, even having you come over at a certain point? Or had you ever been in contact with Vince or the WWF?
Vince was trying to hire me right before he bought the company, but of course it never got talked about. But
right.
Why you saw me and Booker in Dallas first was because our contracts were up first.
Right.
So that's why you saw us first, and so that's you know. Then I went from Buff Bagwell to what was your name again? Kind of like that almost, you know. Once he owned the company, but when he didn't own the company, he was trying to get me to get over. But my contract was just a normal contract. I didn't look to get anything taken out of it because I signed it in the hospital bed.
Right.
So I didn't want to push the issue. I just wanted my deal. And I got it, and they gave me my deal, and didn't have to, you know. So I just turned to the last page, made sure the money was right, and signed it to get that back to WCW quick.
Yeah. Are there resentments harbored towards Vince at all to this day, or to Jim Ross or anybody like that?
No, not really. The only thing is with Jim, you know. If let's say Jim didn't like me and fired me, well, I don't have heat with anybody. But when you say that you like me, but there's a roundtable DVD out there where he's ripped me apart, now you're lying, you know. So that's the only resentment I have is knowing that, you know what, if you didn't like me and you fired me, then okay, you were doing your job, I see. But don't say you like me when I got a tape right here that the world can see. You blistering me about my mom calling and the shitty match with me and Booker and who has her mother call and all this shit that wasn't true that happened to me. And like I said, 3 witnesses. That one was me, Jim Ross, and God. And nobody, and who's going to believe me? Nobody. They're going to believe Jim. But he told me take the time off, rest your head. See, people don't know I wrestled that match. I wrestled because I had 20 stitches in my head when I wrestled Booker. And we had a color. My head was sharp with a Sharpie to have that match. Because
that was from the Shane Helms incident.
So that's when Helms hit me with the back of the head with the water bottle. And so I had a concussion. During that match, I probably had a concussion. And but never complained to them. I used my own doctors. I didn't use their doctors. I paid for my own doctor bills. I didn't complain to them. I didn't tell them until I showed up to the show and I waved at Helms and the Hardy Boys, and they didn't wave back. And I went straight to Johnny Ace and I said, "We gotta talk." Yeah. And he had 12 guys that he had brought to WWF, and we were, me and Helms were 2 of the 12. And so we all got together and shook hands and made up and all that. And that was the same night of the Raw match, the main event Raw.
Yeah.
And that was it, bro. The Hurricane stayed around, and Bug Daddy was out.
Yeah. Man.
So,
I mean, it is what it is, I guess.
I want to have, nobody ever wants regrets, but I don't have any. I don't have a regret because I don't know what I've done. I don't know what I've done to get in trouble, except, like I said, all the things people that read, they read hard to deal with, hard to get along with. Anybody's ever met me goes, the old penny thing would be true, but if I had $1 for every person that said, "Man, you're actually a really good guy, man," I would be a millionaire.
Yeah.
But the old saying is, if I had a penny for every time I heard that ain't true. But if I had $1 for every time I heard it, I guarantee it I'd be a millionaire. Because people, they meet me, they think, I've read all this about him. He's got to be an asshole. And all of a sudden, this nice guy comes out, all nice and shaking hands and kissing babies, and they can tell it's genuine and nice and sweet. cool and fun and having a good time, and they're like, wait a minute, we were expecting something totally different than this, you know?
Right.
But,
yeah. Well, and it's funny you say that. I remember when a couple occasions when I was training at first, and the shows that we had, well, the show we worked together was a Maddox Brothers show. Maddox Brothers are awesome, love them. But in my Colorado wrestling school, when I was going out there, I don't know if you remember this, it was 2017, because I think you couldn't go because your wife was sick or something, but it was supposed to be you and Scotty, and I was going to manage one of you that night. And I had been told before I left by my, my coaches or whatever back in Denver, they were like, you be careful with those guys, don't do anything out of line or whatever, which is not like I would anyway.
Right.
But I was like, have you ever met them? They're like, no. And I mean, I wasn't able to meet you that night, but even with Scotty, he was super cool, was not the abrasive asshole that everyone had told me he was.
He did the same thing. I told the truth and didn't show, but he showed up.
He had the sling. He had the sling.
He showed up and crippled them.
Right.
And I'm the one that got buried. I was like, wait a minute, I'm telling the truth.
Yeah. Well,
Scotty didn't tell y'all that he was hurt.
And he brought Rick with him,
and then
at
Rick
least, which kind of...
if I remember correctly, and he couldn't work either.
Yes, exactly.
So, complete cluster, but me and the Maddox brothers, we made up after that, and I love them to death. We've always been good friends, and always will be. But, so it was a bad thing, and I hated not making that for them, because the word no-show in Buff Bagwell, not a word you don't hear very much around Buff Bagwell, if ever.
Right.
Matter of fact, I think that's the only time I've never no-showed somebody flat out. And it was still called them and told them and everything. Scotty rolls up in an arm brace without calling and telling them. I'm like, dang, Scotty, shit, at least I don't know. I'm shooting a movie at John Schneider's, and I call, because they're friends of mine, I call them up and say, listen, I don't know if you know this or not, but Scotty's crippled. He goes, Mark, we've sold 2,500 tickets that you and Scotty are going to see. There I go. Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you this, brother. He can't wrestle. And then it turns around to, I can't show because my wife was sick.
Yeah.
And so it just became a huge cluster. I got fined by the state and everything. But they finally forgave me, and we made up and all that. But still, it was a bad scene. It was a bad deal.
It was definitely an interesting night, because I remember, like you said, Rick wasn't licensed; he couldn't go. They were
expecting the two.
They were like, hey,
Buff against Steiner. I mean, oh my God! And all of a sudden, one of them are even there. I mean, one's there and he's crippled, and the other one's not there, and then the other Steiner can't wrestle. I mean, oh my God!
Well, and I'm green as can be, and so you see the shirt back here, the Shoney's World Order. That was supposed to be the gimmick, right? And because Scotty had just bought that Shoney's, and so then they were going to change it. Like, well, if you can take the sling off, Colton can do a run in with the Shoney's World Order thing, and then you can, he can kind of bump for you a little bit. And I'm like, holy shit! Like, I was supposed to just be at the side of the ring. I don't know what I'm doing, but it was a funny night.
I'm sure Scotty goes, I can't do that.
Yeah, he did, luckily. But again, to go back to the main point, I mean, both you guys were super cool, and it's an unfortunate misconception to those people who think that that Buff's tough to work with or whatever.
Yeah,
that's just not the case.
That's what I'm saying. I really don't know the answer to that, because I just don't know what I did. To have the regret, having regrets is horrible, and I don't have any in this business. But I don't know what to have a regret for them, because the match, like I said, let's say the match was horrible. You don't fire a Buff Bagwell having a bad match. Let's say my mother called. You don't fire a Buff Bagwell because her mother called. You say, look, tell your damn mother to leave us the hell alone, or we're going to fire you. Hey, Buff, you have another shitty match, and you're fired. There wasn't no warning. There wasn't no maybes. It was just, get out. And I was like, what the fuck? I mean, this is too much. This is crazy.
Right.
And I called him back like he told me to in 4 months. just like they told me to. And I got the deep breath sigh. I got that from Jim Ross, and he was like, yeah, Mark. I was like, hey, bro, I'm just doing what y'all asked me to do. I'm calling y'all back. And he goes, we ain't got nothing for you. We'll give you a call. We got nothing. That was it, brother. So I have no idea what happened, what the story was, who believes what. I just know
your side, your truth.
I'd like to know.
Sure. Yeah. One random question that just came in on the chat, then we'll wrap it up. This is a random one, but I actually want to know the answer to it because I'm going to Las Vegas for work in a couple of weeks. Did you ever eat at the Nitro Grill when they made that in '99 at the Excalibur Hotel? You never went out there?
We did some commercials there with Dallas Page and Eric, and we did some spots, some commercials there and stuff. But I never ate there. It was a cool place. And they had like my top hat and that glass thing, and my white overalls, and so it was a cool place. It was cool, but I never ate there. No.
It's a random one.
Yeah, that's
interesting. I forgot about the Nitro Grill. I wish I could go eat there in a couple weeks, but unfortunately it's no longer there.
Bro, I wish it was still alive. My God. Nitro was wonderful, bro.
Hell yeah, man.
That was a good day.
Buff, I tell you what, man, you've been awesome. We've gotten some great tips for working out. We've heard about the ladies. We've heard about what it takes to be buff, what it takes to still be the stuff. We love you, man, and we thank you for everything.
Thanks so much for having me on your show, and you've been great.